Greetings, Earthlings! Welcome back to 7th Street. I know it's been a long time since my last video, but I've actually been pretty busy. But I'm back! Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah! On a serious note, I actually was casted as the lead character in a local indie sci-fi drama called Tuesday Never Comes. Make sure that you follow the Facebook page. I'll have the link below. So that's been taking up a lot of my time. Also, I would like to mention the fact that the movie Spunk's Not Dead, a feature horror anthology that 7th Street Productions co-produced, and I actually even shot and directed one of the segments in this movie, is going to be coming out on DVD thanks to Ammo releasing, and I will also have the link below for the Amazon page so that you guys can pre-order your DVD for Spunk's Not Dead. I also play a small character in one of the segments. Here at 7th Street Productions, we actually had a lot to do with the creation of this feature horror anthology movie. So if you want to support us and you want to support local indie horror, make sure that you guys reserve your copy at Amazon. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the Reference This Film episode. A mummy movie that's also a zombie movie. It's a subgenre matchup that just seems so perfect, but it almost never happens. In fact, I can really only think of one. I wonder why that is. I mean, doesn't that just sound so perfect? A mummy movie and a zombie movie.
We can thank DVD for resurrecting this little cult gem. It wasn't until recently that this lost treasure was thankfully exhumed. Okay, enough with the grave-robbing references. Dawn of the Mummy faded into almost complete obscurity in the mid-80s after it was banished to the UK's Section 3 list. I will be honest, I was not so hot on this movie the first time I found out about it. The little I had allowed myself to read about this movie just didn't quite do it justice, and I put off giving this movie any real chance. My DVD of this film just sat on my movie shelf collecting dust for a number of years, and that was a mistake on my part. I really rather like this movie. At first glance, this movie screams Italian ripoff of the Hammer Mummy series, and it's most definitely not. Well, kinda. Okay, maybe a little bit.
At last we meet.
This movie isn't even an Italian production, per se. I mean, it sure looks like an Italian movie, and I mean, that's probably because the cinematography was done by Sergio Rabbani, a fairly well-known Italian genre cinematographer, and the effects were done by Maurizio Trani, the makeup effects artist on films like Zombie, The Beyond, and House by the Cemetery. But this was actually an English-Egyptian co-production, with Egyptian director Frank Agrama manning the helm.
Dawn of the Mummy is one of those movies that I really wish that I would have saw as a kid. I feel like this would have been 10-year-old Calvin's, favorite movie.
The movie begins in Egypt in the year 3000 BC, with a high priestess mummifying the pharaoh Safframan and his henchmen. Of course, a good old-fashioned Egyptian curse is also cast upon the tomb, just for good measure, stating that if the tomb is ever disturbed, Safframan and his bodyguards will arise from the dead and feast upon the living.
All Egypt will tremble, and Safframan will rise and kill. His armies will rise and kill.
Fast forward a couple thousand years, and a group of fashion models from New York, aided by some European treasure hunters, stumble upon the tomb and disturb the mummy. Now, with the revival of the ancient curse, the mummy Safframan and his slaves, who were all buried in the desert thousands of years before, arise from their graves and make lunch of the local Egyptian population. The real problem with this movie is its pacing. There are long periods of nothing really happening, which I will admit always causes me to tune out for a few minutes. I'm not joking. I've seen this movie at least 4 or 5 times, and each and every time I've watched it, I always miss a little something in the middle because I start playing with my phone.
I honestly think that this is the only reason the movie gets such a bad rep, because at times it sort of reminds you of something like Oasis of the Zombies, which is never a good thing. I mean, you never want someone watching your movie to be thinking of a Jess Franco movie.
I'm always jolted right back into the movie once the zombie mummies start rising from the sand. This footage is incredible, and it really elevates the movie above your standard zombie fare. This movie was actually shot in Egypt, and anytime the filmmaker utilizes the actual pyramids like this, the shots end up being quite breathtaking. From this point on, the movie is great. I mean, really great. The last 30 minutes of this film are a total bloodbath, complete with cannibalistic mummies tearing up the locals limb from limb. There's also a great scene where the Sephramon mummy buries a meat cleaver into one of the grave robbers' heads. There's just a lot to be enjoyed with the end of this movie.
There are really 2 aspects of this movie that really put it over the top for me. One of which are the way that the zombies are handled.
Like I said earlier, the makeup and effects artist on this film was Maurizio Trani, who had just recently done the zombie effects on Lucio Fulci's Living Dead classic, Zombie. The zombies in this movie are very decayed and rotting, and they shamble around soulless, sometimes not even opening their eyes. I've said a number of times on this channel that these are always my favorite incarnation of the zombie. Very hypnotic, very dehumanized, very different from your standard modern-day zombie. Your Walking Dead zombie, if you may.
The second, and probably best thing about this movie, is its music.
This is the first ever score done by the great Shuki Levy. Who is that, you might ask? Well, Shuki Levy is a very well-known award-winning composer and screenwriter who has scored everything from Chappie to Inspector Gadget to the goddamn Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yes, this song is Shuki Levy.
There really needs to be more zombie mummy movies out there. Someone really needs to jump on this and do a big budget version of that. I mean, I would sure as hell rather see that than the abomination that we got with Tom Cruise. So anyway, guys, yes, Dawn of the Mummy. Make sure that you reference this film. Also, guys, make sure that you are visiting us on Facebook and on Instagram. Make sure that you are subscribing to this channel. All of that stuff really, really helps us out here.
The gun! How did they come in?